Good day, everybody. Welcome back to our second episode of the Niagara Health Show, located here at the Niagara Health Shop at White Oaks. The last episode, we had a fairly interesting episode, and I was all, gung-ho to get things going and enjoy my summer, but it didn't happen that way. Like our logo says, live, laugh, and love. Well, I laughed and I loved, but my living wasn't much this summer.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we'll get into that today, but first, let me introduce myself. I'm Stephanie Jackson, an integrative health practitioner here in Niagara-On-The-Lake. I specialize in functional medicine to help people live at their best and improve, overall quality of life, but our performance in life, really.
Yeah,
So, what happened this summer? What did you
I crashed
follow?
for lack of a better word, I crashed and burned. So to track back how it all started, we did our first episode. You put me on the regime to improve my quality of life because I was complaining of the energy levels being and being on a supplementation and just an overall better feeling. Well, I started getting a little sick. After we finished that episode, I felt like I was coming down with something, and I couldn't kick it. I was getting worse and worse, and I was upping my doses of the vitamin C's and the D's and the oregano oils and everything like that, but it wasn't going anywhere, and it just started coughing, which to me, I'm worried about my lungs because the type of job I do and the history in the family. So
Right.
I went to the emergency, and like typical, you wait, and I get there, and then we talked about, your body, and when you're trying to tell a doctor what's wrong with you, and they don't listen, I was trying to be, reinforcing. I'm not. Your diagnosis is, I believe, your diagnosis. You're the MD, but I still think that something's wrong because I think maybe I have an infection going on. Well, he took X-rays, and the X-rays came back in negative. But if you listen on the top of my bronchioles, you could hear wheezing. So he put me on an inhaler, which is fine. I thought, do you think I should go on an antibiotic? Not that I'm pro-antibiotic, and he says, no, just let it work its course. So, I'm going on now. It's a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and the cough is getting more and more. We go up to the cottage for the long weekend, sitting around the bonfire, and I'm coughing like very violent. I lay down at night, and it feels like someone's strumming a guitar in my lungs, bringing up green stuff. So Donna's like, you better go back. So I go back to the Welland Hospital, and again, you wait, and I see the doctor, and I try to tell my story again, and she's like, no, and I go, I think I really need to be on something more aggressive.
Right.
And
right.
she's like, no, just try this. So again, I go back home.
What did you try?
It was an inhaler. So I was on inhalers. They kept putting me on inhalers. My doctor, unfortunately, was off a lot of the summer, and when we did come back, he was booked up. So by the time I got into my family doctor, this thing's been going on for like a month and a half. So I walk into his office, and my doctor is very progressive. He'll listen to you. And then he knew, and I go, I don't feel right. So he says, what did you have? I saw your X-rays. What you have, really, you can't tell by an X-ray because it's on top of your bronchial tubes. So he listened, he goes, yeah, you do have a bit of wheezing. He goes, it sounds like it's set into your lungs. He prescribed me a different inhaler, which is like a powdered inhaler because it hit more of the upper lung. And then he put me on an antibiotic.
Okay.
And then within 2 weeks or so, I started to feel better. But I'm not 100%. I still feel weak.
Okay, so just to kind of circle back from where we were last time is to balance some of these, originally some of the symptoms were fatigue, brain fog, joint pain. We weren't really talking about lungs at that point.
No.
But more on the lines of helping your body improve its overall function in terms of detoxification, immune system, all of these things, and dialing back in on your diet. So I want to kind of circle back there and say, how did you stick with that plan?
And I think
the diet, the why, the life vision.
my why was, and we talked about the why. Why do you want to do this? Because you want to live a quality of life.
What's the original goal?
Right?
Coming back to
and
that.
My why crashed, and I think, and how could you, when your why doesn't exist, which are, I think, a lot of people, my why was to be healthier and to be able to live life. And when that why went away, and it went away even further than it was originally, it became like, wow, this is crazy. I don't know why people, we're a society that's very reactive, not proactive. And I think that before the cast, if I would have been more proactive and started on a more aggressive treatment plan as far as the joint pain, the energy, supplementation with great quality supplements and vitamins, maybe I wouldn't have ended up in the situation I was in.
The thing is we end up in that situation because, you know, you want to get out of acute pain. So you need to go to your emergency room. You need to go to your MD to get out of that acute pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I think let's just kind of look at that system. That's how the system works. You have a problem with your car, you take it to the garage to get it fixed. It's the same kind of system that we do as humans. When we have something that's broken, within our body, we don't feel well, there's a specific pain point that we can't function day to day. We go to our MD, we go to our emergency room. However, you also did visit a naturopath, and she gave you some different protocols as well. And when I asked you earlier this week about, well, how did that all go? And it was the same thing, is whether it's conventional medicine, whether it's natural. I mean, as a functional medicine practitioner myself, just disclaimer, I'm not allowed to treat, diagnose, or cure any type of disease. That's not within the scope of my practice. What we do in natural health is balance the symptoms, because a collection of symptoms ultimately, when you put it all together, defines some type of disease that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So taking that step back, and where I dropped the ball from our last call to this call, is that the problem with the system is that you get these protocols, these plans that are working more of a long-term health plan, but something happens along the way where we get off track, right? So I dropped the ball in terms of I wasn't treating you as I treat my coachees. And that's what I do as a health coach, as a functional health coach, is that I have to basically help you stay accountable to that long-term vision of what is that vision, what is the plan, coming back to the plan, putting a process that we can control, and having those measurements along the way that we're constantly checking back in and scoring, and within a set period of time, right? So that's how the system in itself is kind of broken, where people just they try to fix the end problem, but there's nothing kind of working them through that plan to help them get well.
90% of society might be like that, because you
It's
rely on your
system.
MD or the ND
Yeah.
to guide you through the process. You don't take the initiative to he told me to do this, 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 and this. It's where, well, I just kind of veered off course. But you need that phone call or that reassurance. Hey, what's going on? What'd you do today? Did you take your vitamins?
We talked earlier on this week, is we got to get on a call sequence where it's like I'll check in with you every week, 30 minutes, to see how we're working the plan, and let's build on the wins, but then also, like, for example, how do you feel right now, overall performance? How would you score your health? When we go back to that life wheel of last episode, where you look at the life wheel has about 12 different pieces to the pie, but if we just chunk it down into 4: health, wealth, career, relationships, because everything kind of ties into each other in terms of our overall wellness. How would you score yourself out of 100 right now in this moment?
Right now?
Yeah.
Well, I'd be low.
Like your overall vitality, life, that core value, remember?
40.
Quality of life. Okay, so we're...
Because my health affected my performance in life. I was so focused on what's going on with my body, and you tried to exert yourself a little bit by going for a walk or just enjoying life. Here I am at the cottage in Wasaga, and everybody's having a good time, and you're coughing up a lung, right? And
Yeah.
you try to go for a swim with the kids in the water, and it's like it drastically affects your overall quality of everything, right? So yeah, it was, again, the living part, or the health style of feeling better. I would have had a greater time. It would have been a more pleasurable experience, but
Yeah, absolutely.
so that's why I scored so low.
Okay.
My score
So
to you would be
that's kind of that. We're going to build on that. What about, can you give me some positive wins from last episode to now? Something that's
My
been going well?
my state of mind is I was very focused. I wanted to, you know, to go on with our plan. And then when I
Yeah.
got sick, during the sickness, I wanted to go on with my plan even more, if that makes sense, because I was driven more. It's like, you know, I felt responsible. Took a lot of the, it was me that wasn't proactive before the show to you know, to live that healthier lifestyle. We're, like I said, we're more reactive than proactive. And I think if we were more proactive through life, you maybe could have potentially steered yourself away from something like this, right? You know, if I would have dosed the vitamin C's, the D's, you know, exercise, ate the food, you know, the inflammation in the body, could have that affected to tax your immune system, which I think my immune system is down. I think my immune system is still down. That's why I sent you the blood work from
Right.
from the
Right. So that the blood work is something that we have now as a measurement to then look back on to track progress. So yeah, I mean, from again, I can't diagnose anything out of that blood work, but looking at it from a functional perspective is that it's not optimal. It's not perfect. There's a lot of different things going on where again, instead of jumping way over here to the end problems and trying to dial in and fix those problems, as I go right back to the foundation. So we're going to start back. We're going to, you know, sometimes I often say this is that we have to fall down hard in order to get back, and it brings back that focus. Our purpose comes through a lot of the time through our pain. So having that fall and having the opportunity to start back again and really do this right, you know, this is going to be it, because you don't have that many chances to start over again.
And I think the coaching part that you were mentioning is a great way, because, you know, you could call me next week and say, Tom, how'd it go? And I could say, you know, I forgot to take my vitamin C, or I didn't do this, or I ate this.
Yeah.
And then you almost need that voice on the other end saying, hey, what are you doing that for? Do you want to get better, or you don't want to get better?
Well, that's the thing. At the end of the show, I'm going to task you with, I like to work in fives. So I'm going to task you with 5 action steps. And I'm going to call you a time next week and say, again, what is your performance? Give me that positive wins compared to the stuff that you fell short on, and then we're going to build on the positive, but then work through the stuff where we want to bring that score up. We want to get out of the 40s and move.
So eventually your positives will outweigh your negatives.
Exactly. Because the more you win, the more positive momentum you have forward, because you're almost in a way creating. This is part of the mindset work that I do. It's like you need to have those social proofs, or the proof in your life to say, wow, like I'm winning here. It's not just a complete fail, 5 out of 5 fail. If we don't have wins, we get discouraged. But we also kind of need a bit of fails to grow and to learn and to say, okay, well, how am I gonna get past this and overcome this? This is my weak spot.
The drive that sets
the
you in.
strength and the weakness, balance between that. Right?
It's like going to the gym and trying to do your, you know, your next weight that, you know, you're striving for, right? Because you weren't able to do it last week or 2 weeks prior, and now you can, you know, I'm gonna do it, and then you do it, and you feel that much better, right? And then you progress on to the next thing.
Everything has levels. Everything has levels to it. It's this graduated leveling up progress.
So what would you recommend then is just to, I know you talked about touching base with me once a week to see how I'm doing, but is there, as far as supplementation, you know, high C's, high D's?
Okay, so yeah, let's kind of dial back in terms of what to do based on your symptoms and what's happening in your specific story, because I have the whole story. I have all your symptoms on file. I have your blood work on file, and you know, taking into account your life story, your job, everything that you're exposed to. So what I see, and this is how functional medicine works, is that we look at all the different systems in the body and how everything is working in conjunction, and where are the breakdowns in the system. So right away, I'm looking at your liver, and I'm looking at your immune system, and I'm looking at your digestive system. They're all interconnected. I mean, I know last show we spoke a lot about cortisol and your stress, and that too. and your blood sugar. There's a lot going on. So to prioritize, again, we'll get back on that nutrition protocol. And I want you to get really strict with it. You and your wife are gonna, both of you, because you're both kind of dealing with your own stuff, but it's similar. So together, you can create that accountability amongst yourself, and you're not doing it alone.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an important part of like even the family dynamic, where you guys together can work through this. So get back to that plan. You're both on the weight loss shopping list, the food list. You're gonna eat the same way. And the point of that is we want to limit the variables. So there's no hypoallergenic style foods on that shopping list. We're reducing our no gluten, no dairy, eggs. We're minimizing fruit just to help with weight loss and starchy vegetables. And that's going to help just kind of calm down the immune system, because every time, we can almost assume that
Do you feel
you're probably reacting to some of these foods,
I do.
and your immune system is having a reaction. So the more we have a reaction, then your immune system gets weaker, and it causes inflammation, the joint pain. That we can circle back to the joint pain. It goes back to the lungs. So much of it.
Dairy seems to be a common theme, because when I was with my aunt, she would stop the dairy, which I couldn't understand why, because growing up you're always taught, you drink your milk because it gives you strong bones and it makes you high in vitamin D and minerals and so forth, right? But I guess the dairy part with me doesn't really agree with my body.
Many people have a hard time digesting the casein protein or the whey protein from dairy, and it triggers that immune-based response. I mean, one of the big pillars in my practice is I do test food sensitivities, and that kind of gives people that black and white on paper from the science laboratory perspective proof, where there's always a bit of a resistance to, well, what if I eat a little bit? It's not gonna, inflammation is inflammation. I call it an insult. Every time, it's not about moderation, because every time you have a bit of dairy, it's like that hard punch in the stomach, and then you're gonna have that inflammation. It's like inflammation is an injury, essentially. So if you're having that a little bit at lunch, a little bit at breakfast and dinner, it's that constant attack on your immune system. So you gotta let your body, the immune system, relax and get it out for a set period of time. So we go back to that timeline. 21 days. Can you do it?
I can do it.
21 days.
I'm worried now. We're getting into the flu season, right? And I don't want to go back to getting sick again. It's going to be putting me behind the 8 ball even further, right? Because I'm a very, we talked about the whys and living life, and I love to live life, and I just find it's such a hindrance that when you're sick and you're trying to get better, puts everything on the back burner, right? And at being proactive, and I know, just dealing with my job, involved with the public and interacting with people, you need that strong immune system to protect you from.
So that's step 1, is to follow that nutrition plan for 21 days. Step 2, which is related to everything else, your liver function, your job, the toxicities that you're exposed to every day, the smoke, inhaling all the fumes, the on the job, all of that, is we need to do a detox, a functional medicine detox protocol to help clean out those pathways.
Is that part of the 21, or is it something different?
Step 2 is to order that,
okay,
and get that, source that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it's not some tea that that's called detox. It's not some miracle thing.
I mean, it doesn't.
Like there's so much bad name around the word detox, because it's thrown around in marketing, and people don't really believe that it's a real thing. It's actually a scientific process that is happening in your body, my body, every single day. Is that our liver? That's its job. It's a filter. It's cleaning your blood every 6 minutes. It's getting rid of all those toxins that you're exposed to. The problem is that we're exposed to more than 70,000 man-made chemicals every single day. As a consequence, the proverbial rain barrel has overflown, and that's where you're getting these symptoms of joint pain, brain fog. Your body's not able to keep up. So we just have to help it, by again, and the protocol comes with, we need about 12 different nutrients, niacin, B3, B6, a lot of your B vitamins help, N-L-cysteine, and there's a whole
Glutathione?
Glutathione, your cruciferous sulforaphane, and this is going to get your body from phase 1 liver detoxification to phase 2. Again, it's a scientific thing. It's biology.
I see you just brought your vitamin C here. Do you want to touch on that a little bit, or?
Okay, so nutrition 1, detox 2, and the third plan is what can we do to support your immune system?
Like supplementation with a
Like-
good quality supplement.
Right. So let's talk about
Nothing from the dollar store.
nothing from the dollar store. Yeah.
It's a common theme. Oh, it's on sale. You know what I mean? But they don't realize you get what you pay for, basically. Not to cause a negative part to that part, but you know, you need a good quality vitamin or supplement, right?
And yeah, exactly. So I don't want to like overwhelm you with too much to do.
No.
So I'm gonna pick 3 of the key supplements that can support your immune system. So number 1 is a vitamin C, but I'm not gonna just give you any, like you said, the dollar store random vitamin C. Is that there's a few different kinds here. So you have a full, just straight vitamin C. But before getting on a straight vitamin C, what I would recommend is a buffered vitamin C. Because
What do you mean by buffered?
So a buffered is an alkalizing. It has all the alkalized forms of the minerals, so calcium, magnesium, zinc, potassium in their carbonate forms, that is going to help buffer the response and help your body absorb the vitamin C to help rebuild that immune system. So just finish up a bottle. You can go with any functional brands like Thorne, Integrative Therapeutics, Pure Encapsulations, Equilibrium Nutrition. They're usually third-party tested and very reputable brands, so I would recommend that. It's just a scoop. You take a liter of water first thing in the morning and get into this morning routine of getting your vitamin C in.
With a liter of water.
Yeah, I just like to really give people a lot of water first thing when they wake up, because we are so dehydrated after we sleep. So it's a practice that you're gonna carry forward. So I like to say, get that liter of water, whether it's like half a liter of just lime and sea salt to help with electrolytes, and then another half a liter with your vitamin C buffered.
And how many times
It's really
a day?
good. Just once, first thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning?
And when you finish that bottle, then you can switch to something like just a straight vitamin C capsule.
So you wouldn't recommend somebody take the buffered one on a regular basis? It'd be too strong for your system, or?
Yeah, it's designed more to rebuild your stores and to help rebuild. So once we don't hyperdose in functional medicine. It's better about having, because again, this is water soluble. It's something that we can't, as a human, we can't make our own vitamin C. So we need it on a daily basis, and we don't get enough from food. So once you finish this to rebuild that immune system, then you can switch to something like this on a daily basis.
And that's something that needs to be taken
Daily.
throughout your life.
It's something it's the foundation. So we can talk about that as well as some of the foundational supplements as well. But on today's show, I want to focus on those 3 for the immune system. So the second one is zinc.
Zinc?
Zinc. So you can take and the timing. So this one you take at dinner. Take about probably around 30 milligrams. Again, you don't want to hyper up too much the dose, and a picolate form is the best bioactive form that you can take. You take that with your evening supper, and that's one of the best times that most people are deficient in zinc.
And again, that's taken
Get a straight zinc.
throughout it's not something that you don't take it in 2 months, 3 months, come off, then go back on.
That's a really good question, because zinc, it depends. it's one of those answers where it's never usually one straight answer across the board. It's never usually that answer, because again, knowing your story and knowing your stress levels and the toxins that you're exposed to on a daily basis, that you may, and if you're training hard in the gym, is that you may want to do that zinc going forward as one of those foundational protocols. Again, some people do a more of a balanced zinc, because minerals always have it's like in training, you have a synergist and what is it, antagonist and protagonist. Minerals work in the same way. So if you do too much zinc, you're going to interfere with your copper. So you may want to do a buffered zinc. Again, it's buffered with vitamin C and it's buffered with copper to help the body get into that equilibrium state.
So the two right now is C.
So we've got C, zinc, and then I want to get you on a magnesium. Glycinate. You've got the same from the same brand. We'll do a magnesium glycinate. You can take one with lunch and two with dinner, and that's going to help calm the nervous system. Because again, we're playing here with the nervous system and energy levels, and the immune system works with the nervous system, and it's one big symphony here.
Question: how do you know when your immune system? Will I feel a difference as far as
you're gonna
once
feel
I start?
a difference.
Yeah, like
in
more
your
energy or less aches or.
You're gonna feel it in your joints. You're gonna feel it in your mental brain fog, and that's part of the detox protocol. Is I can get usually 80% of people's results just by doing that functional medicine detox, especially the first one, because it like hits you hard, especially if you've never done one before. You feel the results in that.
It's weird you said the joints, because one common. How you feeling when you have somebody that's coming down with the flu? I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm tired and my joints are achy.
And you've got headache, you've got brain fog, you're congested, all in your head. You can't think clearly. All of those things. You're gonna have that clarity of thoughts, mind, and then the clarity within your body too.
Mm-hmm.
So you feel it, but then also we can test it. We can look at your levels through functional medicine lab testing and see things, your levels of vitamins and minerals, and how are your detoxification pathways performing. And that's the awesome part of a functional lab testing, is that we can actually see that with that window inside your body. But it's that two-way street of looking at the lab data and then hearing your story of like, how do you actually feel? So that's how I would support your immune system, right?
So you would call me next week to ask me, did I take my vitamins, or what would the follow-up call be?
Yeah, so get on that 21-day
right.
nutrition plan, order the detox, source, get your supplements for the immune system. What else do we need to do? Not to overwhelm you too much, is the foundations is getting a vitamin D, an omega-3, a B complex, a multivitamin. We can bring that in more of a gradual way, because I don't want to overburden you with too much supplements right off the bat.
The flu season's coming up, and it's like, well, I just got better. I go, I don't want to get, and it's to the point now. You sick? Yeah, don't come near me, right? Where it's your system is lacking. If you had a stronger immune system, you wouldn't have to be so worrisome about catching, the common cold that's going around, because your body can't fight it off.
Exactly. So you can be one step of the curve, essentially. And then that's what we would measure. We would measure that. We would come
in a
back
month's
to
time
that,
or 2 months' time?
do your intake measurements, step on the scale, check your BMI, all of those things, because as you track blood sugar, do you have a glucometer?
I don't know.
That's something that you could source.
Shoppe Drug Mart?
Yeah, you can go to any drugstore and grab a glucometer, and that's because we are looking at that's another point, is that there's a bit of blood sugar regulation that is happening. So getting into the habit of checking and testing that, basically what you do is it's right in line with what we're trying to do here with the nutritional protocol. You finish your supper, and then you fast basically until the morning.
And you take
So within 30 minutes of waking, you test your blood sugar for that fasted glucose, and then you track that to see how it changes over the course of the 21 days. So you can do it in the beginning. You can take an average of your week and basically have a health journal on yourself.
Everything's
Right.
documentation.
Yeah, it's all documentation, because there again, going back to the variables, the least amount of variables we have, the easier it is to test the hypothesis and the results. So you can say, oh, well, on this day I had a few beers. It's like, okay, well, that's something that we added into the variable mix. So that's why I do believe in getting really restrictive, but for a short period of time. This is only 21 days. And then after the 21 days, we start to test the hypothesis, where we can bring in some of the other foods and whatnot to see what the reaction is in your body.
Sounds good.
Sounds good?
Look forward to your call.
Awesome.
I'll block you. No, just joking. You have to add humor into whatever you do in life.
Absolutely.
There's a fellow I follow. He used to be one of the biggest fighters in Europe, and he's always a comic, and he owns several big MMA gyms in Europe, and he's always laughing. And he goes, "What's life if you can't laugh?" He goes, "In my gym, we're serious about what we do, but we always add the laughter concept to it, which makes 100%. It's true."
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
So we'll finish this. This is our second podcast. Hopefully next week we start our third podcast, and stay tuned. We'll be launching our podcast this week, so you'll have the first and this episode on it, and more to come. And then looking forward to Stephanie's plan she has for me. And
Yeah, we'll rebalance your health and get back to how you want to be living your life. That's what it's all about, right?
100%.
Yeah. Thank
All right,
you.
Steph. Thanks everybody, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.
Cheers.